Hey guys, Rich with Thrill the Treasure here. Back, kind of an extended break. Want to do a quick video for you guys and kind of tell you some of the stuff I've been working on. In this video, I'm going to focus on something I've been taking like the last month to focus on, which is the key word in the poem. You guys can do this. I was going to pull it up, but you guys aren't, you guys are smart enough to do it on your own, of course. Anyone searching for this treasure is extremely smart, in my opinion, or the ones that keep on searching for it are. But anyway, if you look up the definition of key, obviously it has a few different meanings, but in regards to the treasure, when he says key, it means to open up to something, right? So if you take that definition, the key word in the poem, for one thing, it should open up the rest of the poem, if that makes sense. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be in the front, because we've all read like a book, for example, and we didn't really understand it, or say you watch a movie and you don't understand how it all works out until the very end, and then you get the key at the end of the movie, whether it be a line or you see a scene. Same way with a book. So just because there's a key word doesn't mean that it has to be in the first part of the poem. But as I'm going to show you guys, it actually is. Okay, so let's pull up his poem real quick, because I don't have it pulled up. We'll take a look at it, and I'll kind of tell you my thoughts on it real quick. It's interesting because, like I said, I took a lot of time on this, a lot of time trying to figure out what this key word was. And what I did is how I do with almost everything that I work on with the videos, is I kind of took what's been said from Forrest, and I analyzed it, and I kind of put that into perspective. All right, so here's my opinion on this situation. Okay, if you look at a couple of comments that he's made, I'm using Terry Scant as always. He says here that only a few are in tight focus with the word that is key. Okay, so only a few are in tight focus with a word that is key. So that's why we're all getting the key word situation from. This was made in 2014, this comment, February. So he said only a few searchers are in focus with the keyword, like tight focus, right? So then if you go to a couple other comments, he says here on just about a year later, there have been some who have been within 500 feet because they have told me where they have been. Others have figured out the first two clues and went right past the treasure and didn't know it. Okay. So there's two things going on here. I don't want to go like kind of separate them. I want to go back to this. The first thing is others have figured out the first two clues, went right past the treasure and didn't know it. All right. So in reading that, you can pretty much, in my opinion, really break down that the keywords in the first two stanzas, okay, are within the first two clues. Let's put it that way. Because the people that are in tight focus with the keyword, you know what I'm saying? They obviously have to be the people within the 500 feet. He wouldn't say that. Why would he say they're in tight focus with the keyword, but yet it's not taking them anywhere close to the treasure or to the remote area? Does that make sense? So the key word is getting the people that are tight focus with it, is getting them in the general area, and they're walking right past it. Okay, and I'll go back to this in a second. Then here's another comment a little bit later. This is 2016. So as you can see, people are getting a little bit closer. I don't know that anyone's been closer to the treasure than about 200 feet. So 200, 500, within about a year, they got about 200 feet closer. But again, let's talk about this tight focus, tight word. 500 feet people, like I said, they basically figured out the poem, some portion of it, or the 200, some portion of it, and it got them to that area, right? And then they're walking past the other 7 clues. That's the thing. There's another part where if you looked up yourself, he says they walk past the 7 other clues. So they're figuring out the first 2 clues. and that with the first two clues, the keyword is obtained. Okay, and that's what we want to focus on right now, because I go way deeper into all this, but let's focus on this. So a lot of people discount the first stanza, and I don't. I used to, but I don't anymore. Okay, I think it's possible that the keyword could be in here, and it might lead you to where the warm waters halt. Okay, so I'm not going to give you any of my ideas on that right yet, but that's a possibility. But Forrest has said himself that the first clue in this poem is that begin at where warm waters halt. He's said that numerous times. So we got to believe him. All right. I know this up here, this part really, I mean, it's so intriguing. And you think, but if he's saying the first clue's here, it's not there. It's here. It's the second stanza. Okay. So from that, I'm saying, and I'm rationalizing that the key word is in this first stanza. Okay. And the key word is, guess where it's at? It's in the first sentence. Begin at where warm waters halt. The reason why it's key, okay, and the reason why the people that are in tight focus are getting to the 200 to 500 area is because it's helping them find where warm waters halt. All right. Does that make sense? Because we've talked about this, and everyone's so frustrated that there's a million places where warm waters halt. And so how can that be how can a general be a specific? And he's claiming, he's swearing that, well, he's not swearing, but he's assuming that people can get a specific from this. If this is the starting point and it seems general, there has to be a way to make this specific, because there's a key word that the people are focused on tightly is making them get in the right area. And to get in the right area, they have to be where warm waters halt. All right. And there's another reason for that in a second. And I'll go in that in a second, why it has to start with warm waters halt. I mean, a lot of people have asked him, what if you start with the blaze or start with the brown? He basically says it's impossible. He's also said that if I told you where the home of brown is, you go right to the treasure, which is a very interesting comment. All right. So what that says is this, and this is part of the key word. When you find where warm waters halt, the real one, it opens up the poem. Okay. So people have said, like, for example, home of brown, there's so many brown lakes and brown rivers and all that stuff in the search area. That's true. That when you're at the right where warm waters halt, the brown that is close by, that's identifiable on a map, will be obvious, because it'll be in that brown, whatever that is, if it is named on the map. And again, I'm saying it's observable on the map. I'm not saying it's possibly named on the map. You might have to be boots on the ground to see it. But once you get in that area, it opens that up. Does that make sense? So everything, when you get the keyword and you get the first clue right, the poem, all these generals become specifics that you can rationalize specifically, that you can actually figure out. All right. So that's why that's why he always says you can stay on play Kanask, because if you don't get this first part right, you're going to go to every brown lake, every brown river, every brown stream, every brown house, right? No over the search area. But once you get this right, then you can narrow down the brown in that search area. So that's why this is key. This is key. And he said it so many different times, but yet he doesn't go out and say the keywords in the first sentence, the first clue, but it's obvious that it is if you put all this together. The poem cannot open up unless you know where you're at and need to be. And that's a fact. And the people that have figured it out have been exactly where they need to be. Not exactly, but in the right area. They just haven't figured out the last 7 clues. So what word is it? Begin at where warm waters halt. Well, it is very possible. I know that I follow, I forget her YouTube channel. I'll reference it below. She has a great video on what is it. It could be possibly it. I mean, it could be. But let's say that is it. Let's say it's begin the walk, begin the drive, begin the trip. Let's say it's begin the flight, right? Where warm waters halt. How does that help you? Think about it. You're still starting from a place you have no idea where it's at. So the it's intriguing, and take it in the canyon down is intriguing. But again, let's put in flight. Begin the flight where Warm Waters Halt, and take the flight in the canyon down. It sounds cool, but what have we gotten from that? We're still lost. So that's not the key word. It's an interesting word, and it makes you wonder when you do find Warm Waters Halt, the real area, what is he taking? What is it? Begin it. Is it just a trip, or is it like a road? And again, we'll get into all that later. So it's not it, which it could be, but it's not. If you just the way I just explained it to you, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. It's not a key. It still keeps you lost. Warm Waters Halt. So out of the rest of it, what could it be? Warm is generic. Halt, stop. That could be key. Okay, halt. So you got to think to yourself, if that's the case, if it is stop, what makes water stop? Like literally stop. And the first thing everyone thinks of is a dam, but he's obviously said that the dam, it's not a dam. So with that, I think the stop, I mean, if you guys can think of any other place where water actually stops that's not a dam, I want to hear about it in the comments, please, because that's the second possible keyword to this. But I don't think it is, because again, it's more of a, if we can't find another way that warm waters actually truly stop, then the stop is just an idea. And make that clear. It's an idea. Kind of like the same way if it's the warm trout fishing waters, it doesn't necessarily stop. It changes temperature in that area. Okay, so if we could find a halt that where waters actually stop, that's not a dam, that could be a possibility. And I haven't thought about that too much. But to me, I really think he means general. It's a general idea. And this is why I also think it's a general idea. Come back to the keyword waters. It's not begin at where warm water halts. It's plural, waters. Okay? So it's where warm waters halt. Now, some people say the waters of the Atlantic, the waters of the Pacific, right? So it could mean like, it's kind of hard to understand exactly what he's meaning, because he could take it both. He could say this and mean one area, because water is the water in that area is a plural. It's a bunch of water, right? But it could also mean where many different types of water or streams or lakes stop, right? And since we can't figure out where water stops other than a dam and like actually stops, and you got to realize that this is probably a theoretical where warm waters halt. It's waters. That's the key word. Waters is the key word. And the people that are tight and focused on that, all right, they're searching based on a axis point or a key point where warm waters halt. Now, I have one I've found over the past, one reason why I have been online is I found an extremely good warm waters halt area. And I'm in the process of working out the solve. It'll probably be a place to go to this summer. I'll go more into that later, but let's just focus on this right now. I really truly believe with all my heart that waters is a key word for all the reasons, because the people that are tight on it are getting to the area, and the first two clues are the only thing he says have been solved. So if the only first two clues have been solved, it has to be in these first two clues. If the people are if the information in those first two clues are getting them there, because no one's got to these keywords yet. If there are a keyword in here, it hasn't happened yet. Does it make sense? He's talking about people told me the first two clues, they got within 200, 500 feet, and somewhere in tight focus of a keyword. But they haven't figured out the last 7, so it can't be in this last 7. It has to be in the first 2. And again, it's waters, because without being there, we can't figure out the rest of it. So That's what I think it is. I think it's waters. I really, like I said, I strongly think it is, and I think it's the reason why we're having so much trouble. I think once we figure out that idea of where warm water's hauled, that area where it halts, it all opens up. Okay, so then the House of Brown is more specific. The creek possibly, or the lack of creeks, more specific. The heavy lows becomes more specific. So from that point, that key, you can figure out the rest of the poem. It opens it all up. So I think that's really about it. That's all I have for right now. Just want to kind of get something out there that's, I think, valuable. And again, it makes a lot of sense. I'd love to get your comments on if you think it's not waters, and if you think it's down here, how could it be down here based on everything that he said? And I'm not saying it's not possible. I'd like to know how you think of it. Also, let's brainstorm on if there is a halt that actually halts water other than a dam. What obstruction could that be? And that's a possible solve. But if it's not, again, we're talking about a general idea. It's in theory. It's not exactly specific. And I think people have been on that because they've been, saying like the trout waters has been an idea, the warm waters up in Yellowstone have been an idea. And needless to say, those don't stop in one place and then turn cold. But so people are on the idea of the warm being general and the stop being general. But for whatever reason, they actually skip the fact that the waters could be general, that it's not one water source, but many water sources. Where do many water sources theoretically halt that have warm water? So it's waters, I believe. All right, guys, I'm going to actually post another one today. I got some cool stuff, really cool stuff, kind of like a bonus video to put up to think about. All right, thanks, guys.